to the logistics of the commission and the law and so forth, if I was going to ask one question, it was just as easy to ask the other question. And right now, those are the two big questions about marijuana. Shall it be used as medicine? Shall it be used recreational?
Why is this issue so important to you?
Several reasons. The biggest one I would say now is over the 5 years,
City Council,
I have
downtown,
1,000+ stories from medical marijuana patients that hope to be medical marijuana patients here in Tennessee. And some of those stories just break your heart. You know, the children with seizures, the vets with PTSD, the cancer patients, ALS, Tourette's syndrome, everything else. Marijuana is medicine, and our country needs to be able to remember that and know it without all these lies and propaganda that's built up over the last 46 years.
So what are your connections to these stories? I mean, do you have a personal story or someone that you know, or I guess how did you kind of get plugged in?
When I was a teenager, the first lady I bought pot from, she used to tell us always bring back the stems and whatever we didn't want, because she made tea for her father, who was dying from cancer. I also met a boyfriend of hers that he had been in Vietnam. And for several years, he had suffered through alcoholism, trying to escape the PTSD from serving in Vietnam for so long. And eventually he started smoking marijuana, and suddenly he became a much nicer guy. So, as I said, I've known that it was a medicine long before it was a recreational drug for teenagers. And I believe the time is right. During the 80s and 90s, it was easy to suppress the facts, the science that proves marijuana is medicine. In this day and age, it's hard to hide those facts anymore. And some of the government agencies are finally starting to come around. But with a possible wait of another 4 to 8 years for the federal government to do something, I'm tired of waiting. I want something to happen. I believe the people of Knox County are compassionate enough, educated enough, and knowledgeable enough to know marijuana is medicine, and denying it to sick, suffering, dying people is just cruel and unusual punishment.
One last question for me.
Yes, sir.
Kind of going to talk about what the decision was today.
Today what happened, they want some changes to the format, increase the font size, and we did have one issue about some language in a question. It was that legal and or recreational use. And in my mind, when you think about alcohol, you know, it's nobody ever talks about alcohol being sold for recreational uses. It's just being sold. Well, it's kind of like how we should handle marijuana. It should just be legal to be able to buy in a proper environment, pay the taxes on it, take away this basically cash cow from criminals and gangs and everything else, and put it back to where it can do good, which is the coffers of the government. You know, no one's complained about the tax money in Colorado. And while there's still a lot of inflamed comments being made about the people using it and so forth, most of it's blown out of proportion for headlines and so forth. It is time for our country to do something. Yes, we have a drug problem, but we have a drug problem with a plant called opium. We don't have a drug problem with a plant called marijuana. And when I was a kid, I heard very early the most dangerous thing about marijuana is the law. And in my 46 years, That's never changed, and it's time to.
Steve Cooper.